Hindi. Tama na lang po.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's program. In a devastating incident, a school sports field roof collapsed during a storm claimed the lives of 7 individuals, including 4 children in Thailand. Mount Merapi, one of the world's most active volcanoes located in Indonesia, erupted today, sending lava flowing more than 2 kilometers away from its crater. And today also, Pag-asa announcing that various parts of the country will encounter rainy conditions due to the presence of 2 weather systems. Additionally, Super Typhoon Mawar is currently moving slowly northwestward and is likely to enter the Philippine area of responsibility by Friday or Saturday. And Papua New Guinea entered into a defense agreement with the U.S., granting American forces access to its airfields and ports. Will give us, Ecor Talesa Quinola will give us an update. In a devastating incident, a school sports field roof collapsed during a storm claimed the lives of 7 individuals, including 4 children in Thailand. Take a look.
เลยค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นบ้านเรือนก็จะพังเสียหายหมดเลยประมาณนี้ในอาคารเนี้ยยุบพังทั้งอาคารเลยค่ะเป็นโดมใช่ไหมค่ะเป็นโดมสำหรับเด็กๆมาออกกำลังกายในร่มที่ได้บาดเจ็บส่วนใหญ่ก็จะมีพันโรงนักเรียนและผู้ปกครองที่มากับเขาด้วยแสดงว่าทั้งหมดมันพริบตาเดียวได้ยินเสียงมาจากนั้นกองเหมือนในสนามรบเสียงมาหึมช่วงนั้นชั่วประมาณ5 วินาทีถึงตัวเลย
The children, aged between 6 and 13, were playing under the open-sided structure when heavy rains and high winds caused the roof to suddenly collapse. 2 parents and a janitor were among the fatally injured, while 18 people sustained injuries. Local authorities shared a video showing the twisted wreckage of the collapsed roof. The storm also caused damage to several houses in the area. The incident occurred as Thailand enters the monsoon season with further heavy rains expected in the country. And as a clearer picture emerges of the trail of destruction left by Cyclone Mocha in Myanmar and Bangladesh, humanitarians are continuing to strive to bring life-saving assistance and call for urgent funding. The UN's top aid official in the country, Ramanathan Balakrishnan, told reporters in Geneva that the disaster had left hundreds of thousands without a roof over their heads as the monsoon looms.
The humanitarian community is now in a race against time to provide people with safe shelter in all affected communities and to prevent the outbreak and spread of waterborne diseases. 1.6 million people identified for support under this appeal include people who have lost their homes, people who lack access to health services and clean water, people who are food insecure or malnourished, displaced people in camps, stateless people, women, children, and people with disabilities. Those affected are facing a long, miserable monsoon season if we cannot mobilize resources in time. One internally displaced person from Sitwe camp told our colleagues in Rakhine that his shelter was destroyed while his family took refuge at an evacuation site at the height of the storm. He reported that those who stayed had faced a horrible experience as the camp was submerged in water from the storm surge. He told us that the IDPs need medical care, clean water, and food, as well as support to rebuild the shelters.
More than 400,000 Bangladeshis were impacted by the cyclone, and the homes of 40,000 refugees were completely destroyed or damaged. Cyclone Mocha comes at the heels of food ration cuts and a devastating fire in March, where 16,000 refugees lost their homes.
Now, Mocha's landfall brought floods and landslides to an area already grappling with displacement caused by the protracted conflict in Myanmar, particularly affecting the Rohingya minority. In neighboring Bangladesh, meanwhile, the UN is appealing for $42 million to support the cyclone response, including $36 million for Rohingya refugees living in camps in the affected areas. The World Meteorological Organization highlighted the staggering toll of man-made global warming, revealing that over the past 50 years, extreme weather events intensified by climate change have resulted in more than 2 million deaths and economic losses amounting to $4.3 trillion. The WMO reported that nearly 12,000 disasters occurred between 1970 and 2021 due to weather, climate, and water-related hazards. Developing countries bore the brunt, experiencing 90% of the fatalities and 60% of the economic losses caused by climate shocks and extreme weather events. Least developed countries and small island developing states in particular faced a disproportionately high cost relative to their economies. The WMO emphasized the importance of enhanced early warning systems and coordinated disaster management, which have proven effective in saving lives. Collaborating with partners, the WMO aims to ensure that global early warning systems cover every individual by the end of 2027. This year, the UN's Early Warnings for All initiative will be rolled out in a selected group of 30 countries. In tonight's other news, Mount Merapi, one of the world's most active volcanoes located in Indonesia, erupted, sending lava flowing more than 2 kilometers away from its crater. Take a look. Striking images captured by the government-run Merapi Volcano Observatory showcase the intense lava discharge. The Center for Research and Development of Geological Disaster Technology, or BPPTKG, a government agency responsible for monitoring the volcano, recorded numerous small tremors associated with the eruption. BPPTKG head Agus Budi Santoso mentioned that although there has been a slight increase in Merapi's activity in recent days, such fluctuations are common for the volcano. And to ensure safety, a 7-kilometer restriction zone was established in surrounding villages following a risk assessment conducted in 2022. The lava from the eruption fell within the designated zone. Despite the eruption, Merapi's alert level, which has remained at the second highest mark since 2020, hasn't changed. The volcano's previous significant eruption occurred in 2010, resulting in over 300 fatalities and the evacuation of approximately 280,000 residents. It was the most powerful eruption since 1930, when around 1,300 people lost their lives. And Pag-asa announcing today that various parts of the country will encounter rainy conditions due to the presence of 2 weather systems. Additionally, Super Typhoon Mawar is currently moving slowly northwestward and is likely to enter the Philippine area of responsibility this weekend. Take a look.
Patuloy pa rin ho nating minomonitor itong bagyo na nasa labas ng Philippine Area of Responsibility, at ito nga ho ay isa ng naging ganap na super typhoon at huli itong namata na sa layong 2,215 kilometers silangan ng Visayas. Ito po ay may international name na Mawar, na ang ibig sabihin po ay rosas, mula naman sa bansang Malaysia. Kapag sinabi ho natin na super typhoon na itong kategorya ng bagyo, ang lakas ho ng hangin nito malapit sa gitna sa mahigit 185 kilometers per hour. Ito po yung maximum sustained winds. At base nga ho sa ating mga pinaka-latest na mga datos, posible ho na pumasok ito ng Philippine Area of Responsibility araw ho ng Biyernes o ng Sabado. Medyo bumabagal ho siya, kaya malaki yung posibilidad na Sabado ito papasok ng Philippine Area of Responsibility. Kapag pumasok na ho ito ng Philippine Area of Responsibility, ang magiging pangalan na ho nito ay Bagyong Betty, at pangalawang bagyo ito para sa taong ito. Base din ho sa mga pinakahuling datos natin, posible ho po ang magiging track ho ng bagyong si Mawar, may international name na Mawar, ay papunta ho sa may bahagi ng Taiwan, maaaring hindi ito maglandfall, at pupunta na ho sa may bahagi ng Japan, maaari ho itong mag-recurve. Ito po ay isang senaryo na pwede pa rin magbago. Sa ngayon din ho, malit pa rin yung tsansa na ito ay tumama sa kalupaan ng Pilipinas. Pero mas tinitingnan ho natin, posible itong mag-trigger ho ng pagpapalakas ng hanging habagat o tinatawag natin na southwest monsoon. Kaya ho posible bandang Linggo o Lunes sa susunod na next week ay posible po maging maulan, partikular na sa bahagi ho ng western section ho ng Luzon, ng Visayas at maaari po umabot pati dito sa Mindanao. Dito naman ho ay naasahan natin ngayong araw na malaki yung tsansa ng maulan na panahon, partikular na sa Palawan, gayon din sa may Zamboanga Peninsula at sa Barm. Ayan po ay dulot ng tinatawag natin na southwesterly wind flow o yung hangin nagmumula dito sa Timog Kanluran. Sa iba pang bahagi ng ating bansa, mainit na panahon pa rin yung mararanasan pero mas madalas na ang mga instances ho ng mga thunderstorms o yung mga pagkidlat pagkulog. Kaya po asahan natin hapon hanggang gabi, gayon din ho sa madaling araw, malaki yung tsansa ng mga localized thunderstorms.
Meanwhile, Typhoon Mawar posed a significant threat to Guam now, a crucial military outpost and U.S. territory in the Pacific as it approached on Wednesday. Although the storm's peak winds had slightly weakened, it remained a dangerous Category 4 typhoon, packing maximum sustained winds of 140 miles per hour or 225 kilometers per hour, and gusts of up to 175 miles per hour at landfall, as reported by the National Weather Service. The current projected path of Typhoon Mawar indicates that it will directly pass over the island, home to approximately 170,000 people. The National Weather Service has warned of the triple threats of torrential rains, catastrophic winds, and life-threatening storm surge. The National Weather Service cautions that storm surge levels in the most vulnerable areas near the eye wall may reach to 20 to 25 feet above normal high tide. And according to forecasts, Guam is expected to receive rainfall ranging from 10 to 15 inches, with certain regions potentially experiencing 20 inches or more, which increases the likelihood of landslides in the central and southern parts of the island. In a Facebook post, Governor Guerrero emphasized the importance of seeking shelter no later than 9 a.m. And residents are urged to remain indoors, away from windows, and refrain from going outside during temporary lulls, as flying debris can pose serious injury risks. Papua New Guinea entered into a defense agreement with the U.S., granting American forces access to its airfields and ports. This move comes as the U.S. aims to counterbalance China's increasing presence in the Pacific region. Here's Echo Ortelesa Quinola back with the report.
The United States and Papua New Guinea signed a historic defense cooperation agreement or DCA. Prime Minister James Marape assures Papua New Guineans that the agreement will not intrude the sovereignty of his country.
This signing in no way, shape and form encroaches into our sovereignty, and we have not compromised our own relationship with every other bilateral relationship we have at government-to-government level or with our defense level, all other relationships we have. I am satisfied for Papua New Guinea. This adds value to the economy, strengthens our economy, and allows us to grow better.
Marape says the DCA will strengthen the U.S.-Papua New Guinea relationship. He says this is an elevation from what used to be a generic relationship under the 1989 Status of Force Agreement to a specific one with the United States people, government, and defense force.
We will be fully transparent with the details of the agreement, which contains elements from our previous agreement, and updates it to reflect our shared commitment to deepen cooperation on issues that matter most to people here, as well as in the United States. And as you also heard from the Prime Minister, the shipwright will allow Papua New Guinea Defense Force and U.S. Coast Guard to deepen cooperation to combat illicit maritime activities, including illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing.
You heard the Prime Minister speak eloquently to that shared history. But I think what's so important is that shared history is also living history. And together, even as we're inspired by so much that we've done in the past, we are working together to shape the future. That's the task before us, Mr. Prime Minister. We are very much looking forward to taking our partnership to the next level. Thank you.
Amid protests, Marape asks the public not to panic. He says the DCA is similar to what Papua New Guinea has with Australia and Indonesia.
Especially those of you who want to pick a political bone with me, let's not confuse everyone. We are a nation of rule of law. If we feel that this agreement encroaches into one iota of our constitutional law in the land, make a reference to the Supreme Court. I'm sure the court will find. That what we have done is within the ambit of the constitution of our country and all subsidiary legislations. The relationship with the United States, people, government, and Defense Force Cooperation Agreement is done. And for the record, Papua New Guinea has a Visiting Force Act of 1975 that allows for these agreements to be entered upon.
Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Thanks, Echo. Meanwhile, the WHO Council on the Economics of Health for All has released a report outlining a new path to reorient economies to deliver health for all. The report, entitled Health for All, Transforming Economies to Deliver What Matters, provides a new framework built on 4 pillars, namely value, finance, innovation, and capacity. Take a look.
First, the report implores the world to stop using GDP as the measurement of progress. It doesn't account for the vast resources that go into unpaid work, which is often the backbone of economic and social activity. Second, it calls on countries and funding agencies to stop straitjacketing low and middle-income countries via austerity measures which prohibit investment in health. It calls instead on financing for health to be both adequate and sustained over the long term. Third, the Council noted that innovation works best when there are vibrant partnerships between the public and private sectors.
So are we more prepared now than before? The report says no, because we have not treated health for all seriously. We have not designed business models. We have not designed government structures. We have not designed public-private partnerships to be outcomes-oriented. Of course we care about growth, but we need to direct that growth to be inclusive and sustainable, problem-oriented, people-centered, planet-centered, and guess what? Ironically, we actually, I should whisper, grow more when we do it that way, but grow with a direction.
The Council argues that health for all should be at the heart of how we design our social, health, and economic systems and policies. They call for a new economic narrative that transforms financing for health from an expenditure to an investment.
Preventive means you have to look at nutrition, you have to look at sanitation, you have to look at water, you have to look at pollution, you have to look at housing, you have to look at all of these different things. And so all these ministries have to be involved. But particularly finance is important because we are seeing, even today as we speak, we are seeing austerity imposed in various different ways, not necessarily only on the health ministry, but in all kinds of spending that then impacts on health of the people. So, in fact, finance has to be critically involved.
The report also includes specific recommendations for how to change the structure of patents, public-private partnerships, and budgets to design an economy that delivers health for all.
So really going back to issues of how we do capitalism. This is not just about, oh, throw money to the developing world. No, the developing world will benefit if we do capitalism differently, if we do corporate governance differently, if we do public-private partnerships differently, if we do finance and the structures of finance differently. So it's really a call to arms and an inspirational one. This isn't about an us versus them. This is, we truly are in this together, hopefully, really rethinking a lot of these underlying structures. And again, that's also what makes our report different from previous ones.
The report was launched in conjunction with the 76th World Health Assembly. In tonight's other news, the Department of Information and Communication Technology has set its sights on adding 10,000 news sites to its Free Public Internet Access Program, or FPIAP. DICT Secretary Ivan E. Uy revealed that these sites will be spread across 1,364 locations nationwide. As of April 23, the FPIAP already covered 3,961 sites in 493 localities. Secretary Uy shared these updates during a recent sectoral meeting led by President Marcos Jr. in Malacanang. In addition to discussing the digitalization efforts and the National Broadband Plan, Secretary Uy addressed cybersecurity concerns as part of the National Information and Communication Technologies Development Agenda for 2023 to 2028. These efforts include the establishment of the National Cybersecurity Response Organization and the ongoing implementation of unified countermeasures by DICT. Secretary Uy also presented various initiatives of DICT for the digital transformation of the national government, such as ELGU, e-travel, eGov-Pay, eGov-Cloud, e-Report, and the eGov-PH Super App. Finally, in our news, a panda on loan from China to Thailand died recently due to blood clots caused by old age, according to Thai zoo officials. The 21-year-old panda named Lin Wei had been living in an air-conditioned enclosure at Chiang Mai Zoo since 2003 and was scheduled to return to China in October. She was part of Beijing's Panda Diplomacy Program, which loans pandas to other countries as a sign of goodwill. The panda's advanced age resulted in the deterioration of her blood vessels and the formation of clots in multiple organs, leading to her death. Prior to her passing, Lin Wei experienced a nosebleed attributed to a tumor in her nasal blood vessels. Giant pandas, considered highly endangered, can live up to 30 years in captivity. The panda's demise prompted expressions of grief from politicians, and the zoo will be required to pay a 15 million baht or $435,000 insurance payout to China. Chinese authorities have expressed regret and have initiated an investigation into the incident. As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angela. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.